Here's a fun little story I thought I would share. Ocasio-Cortez calls for agenda of reparations as 2020 Dems get on board. You know, we've been wondering, we've been concerned. Are the mainstream Democrat politicians gonna jump on board the SJW woke identity politics the next election? Well, maybe we can get a little hint of that. AOC called Friday for, quote, examining and pursuing an agenda of reparations as part of a lengthy list of proposals delivered before an Al Sharpton-sponsored conference in New York. Examining and pursuing an agenda of reparations. So that means that she's either serious about reparations, which I think's a terrible idea, or just some BS she can throw at the identity politics woke crowd to get them off her back. Oh yes, I'm totally on board with your identity politics, because I am examining and pursuing an agenda of reparations. Whatever that means. Either way, it's pretty terrible. As a side note, it's pretty funny. If you click the link on the Fox article for proposals, it just sends you to a page called Socialism. She told the crowd at the National Action Network convention that such a generational attitude was the underpinning of a list of policies that included healthcare for all, free public college, and reparations to Black Americans for slavery. So assuming she's not just throwing this out because she's at some Al Sharpton-sponsored conference and, you know, it needs to appear woke. I mean, reparations to Black Americans for slavery. So does that mean that only Black Americans whose families were here during slavery will get the reparations? If your family moved to America from Africa or from a Caribbean island recently, do you not get the reparations? So great, does that mean they're going to have to create different ethnic classes for the various Black populations in America? Oh yes, can all the Blacks from Africa please stand on the right side of the room, and all the Blacks whose ancestors were enslaved in America, please stand on the left side of the room to receive your free money. Yeah, thank you. 2020 presidential candidates, including Senators Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren, and former San Antonio Mayor Julian Castro, have all come out in favor of some form of reparations for Black Americans. So it looks like no. Most of the Democrats didn't learn from 2016 and have decided to actually double down on identity politics. Looks like it's up to Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. I like this part's really funny. Sanders, at the same event Ocasio-Cortez was attending, said Friday that if he were president and Congress passed a bill creating a commission to study the issue, he would sign it. Which translates into, yeah, I don't really want to give reparations to Black people, but I'm not going to say it outright. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to commission a study, and they're going to look into it. And then when they come back and tell me, yeah, you just can't give Black people whose ancestors were enslaved hundreds of years ago money. Yeah, and they're going to tell me that you can't do that. And I'm just going to say, oh, look, well, I studied it, and they said I couldn't do it. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, introducing the bill in January, said that the impact of slavery and its vestiges continues to affect African Americans and indeed all Americans in communities throughout our nation. She explained that the measure, formerly known as the Commission to Study and Develop Reparations Proposals for African Americans Act, would examine the institution of slavery in the colonies and the United States from 1619 to the present and further recommend appropriate remedies. The bill currently has more than 30 co-sponsors in the House of Representatives, and last month, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she would support the legislation. Great. So now all the Democrats have to at least pretend to be on the woke identity train by virtue signaling this commissioned to study reparations. That's not going to satisfy the identitarians either. They're going to call this out as the BS that it is. So the Democrats are pursuing a study for reparations which they don't want to pass, which will only be used against them by people on the right, and will be used against them by the woke identitarians on the left for not actually passing the reparations. So this is literally maybe the worst political move you could do. This is the problem. The Democrats are stuck in this kind of like old school, old world political mindset where you could probably just get away with doing these BS studies, and that would actually satisfy people. But it's current year, and that doesn't fly anymore. Those who have come out in favor of reparations have so far been vague about what exactly it is they would support. Of course they've been vague, because none of them actually want reparations. They just want to throw some red meat to the SJW identitarians. Harris suggested that this could include a generic, that's a nice Freudian slip there, generic tax credit to families making under $100,000. I don't support that, but that would probably be the least offensive way to handle the situation. If you had to do something, you say, look, if your family was enslaved in America, you get a tax credit if you're making under $100,000 a year. I don't agree with that, but, you know, if you have to do something, that would be the least offensive to me. I mean, obviously assuming, what the amount of the tax credit would be. Warren has prepared to go a step further, though, and told reporters in February that reparations for Native Americans should be part of the conversation as well. Oh, Elizabeth. It's just so baffling what she's doing. Whoever's running Elizabeth Warren's PR and strategy needs to be fired. Okay, they should be like, look, Elizabeth, don't ever mention Native Americans ever again. Ever, and you'll be fine. Okay, just never bring it up ever again. Never, ever. You never want to remind people that. Just stop it. Just stop it, okay? Just stop it. Also, we kind of did give Native Americans reparations by allowing them to build casinos, so... That's a solution. Just allow black people whose families were enslaved to build casinos in their neighborhoods. There you go. We solved the problem, everyone. We fixed reparations.